Okay, so for those of you who don't know Alesia Stochel, she is the GM at Viator. And then there's a few people out that are going, wow, that's cool. What is Viator? All right. So I think for perspective of this conversation, and thank you for taking time to do a member talk with us today. I think it would be helpful if we maybe start a little bit about how that company came about. And then let's look at it from a, from 2018 on, because that's when things started to really change for you guys. And you had this great vision and great game plan, but things got a little derailed due to the pandemic, and that changed a lot of stuff. But you were in the middle of transitioning some things anyway in preparation for that. A lot of growth, a rocket ship growth, as I recall. So for those of people who don't know who you are and what the organization is about, give us a starting point.
For those that don't know Viator, Viator is what you do when you go on vacation, all the fun things. So we support that vertical, and we do global customer service around the world. As David, as you had mentioned, 2018 and specifically 2019 was a huge growth for us. We opened in 2018, we opened 2 call centers in the Philippines, one in Manila and one in Camsur. That was in addition to offices that I manage in Oxford and Las Vegas. We saw, we were investing in internationalization, which is a fancy term for how are we going to support languages outside of English. So we started growing those languages. We also were incorporating TripAdvisor, so doing the customer services for TripAdvisor experiences. Those are the fun things to do when you go on the TripAdvisor site and you're going, give me a couple ideas. The customer service behind that is my team. So we were managing multiple brands. We were growing. We knew our phone system it was meant for a small to middle-sized company. And we knew that because of our growth, we needed to tap into the international market more so and have that support. At the same time, TripAdvisor has other call centers under its umbrella. So vacation rentals is one of them. Hotels is one of them. And so we looked at how we could all be under one phone system. So marching along fast, we were getting close to about 800 agents worldwide. So, and to put that in perspective, when I first started with the company 14 years ago, I had a team of 20 in one office. So it was just massive growth, and it was good growth. And for those of you who have struggled with, I know I need this, but we don't have the investment to do the workarounds, my team was the king of workarounds because we didn't have that technology investment. Once TripAdvisor purchased us and started investing and seeing the value of what customer service brings, good things followed. We were in the process of where do we grow internationally? We are in the process of what does our team look like? Do we need to expand to other offices? And pandemic hits. And I don't have to say in travel, it was hit especially hard. So instead of going on the growth mode, my team had to go into what do we need to do to survive mode? And then what does it look like on the other side of the pandemic? Because we know we're going to grow again, but how do we survive and then still prepare ourselves for that growth, for that mindset? I think some of the key learnings were that we were already in the cloud, so that it was really easy to set up the work from home. It was working with our IT team and getting laptops. And if you can imagine trying to get 800 laptops around the world, that was a little bit challenging to make sure that they're going from a desktop to a laptop. And not everyone had the internet, not every agent, not every supervisor, not every support team had internet functionality. So looking to see what we needed, what was our minimum requirement, and how we could support that team member.
The entire team knows the nature of your business, and the entire team can read the news, and the tea leaves are saying travel's going to stop.
Yes.
What was morale like, and how did you keep people focused during, if you can remember back then, what you did?
I think at first, because we thought it was just going to be a few weeks, we all had that belief that, yep, we're morale was okay. We were showing each other, check out my work from home office space. And so we had just a shared channel that was work, but not so much work. So people could share, share the pictures of their pets if they wanted to. This is my coworker. Keeping it just kind of fun. Then when we realized that it was going to be longer, and then much longer than we ever could imagine, we realized we needed to over communicate and overshare. We needed to make sure that we had more all hands meetings, more one-on-ones, more Slack channels to just have quick discussions, because you no longer just ran into somebody in the office. You had to schedule that time. We also allowed time for wellness. So if somebody was having a bad day, we allowed that. We knew that it was everybody's journey was going, they were going through different things. So I think we became more, I mean, I think we're a kind call center, but we stepped that up. We became more flexible. Could we work with shifts, because now we've got offices around the world? Could this office pick up if we needed to look at a shift to make an adjustment for childcare? Or because a lot of, like at Oxford, for example, their childcare shut down, then opened back up, then shut down. So it was very fluid, and we had to go with where that destination and what was happening there. So I think the key learning points for us is you can't over communicate, you can't overshare. You have to say it in so many ways. If you see someone that's struggling, reach out to them. Tell them to go outside, take a moment, take a breather, really be in tune on how your employees are feeling. And be in tune how you're feeling too, because you can't lead for success if you're having an off day. And so, if you need to take a moment, take a moment. I've turned in my den into a yoga and just a workout den. So if I need to get a quick getaway, I do it. I schedule time for that.
Were you using video during this transition, or at what point did video come in
from day
for
one,
internal communication?
For day one, because we always have been, because we're international, we've always had video. So that wasn't anything new, but I would say from an agent level, that was new for them.
Sure.
But for like team leads and up, but yeah, so we went through the stories like everybody else. Hey, you're on mute. Can you go on mute?
You've got a game plan. You probably had to make some size adjustments. I'm assuming, and I don't want to speak for you, but revenue volume must have dropped due to lack of travel, and things follow in their natural course with that. As you could start to see that maybe this thing isn't a forever condition, when did things start to turn, when you said, hey, well, you know what? We probably need to revisit some of the things that were on the agenda 2018.
A couple of really key points for us is not only did we have our company All Hands with Viator, but we also were part of TripAdvisor's All Hands. So they shared financially. They were very open financially where we were as a company and what we were going to do to get through it, and that we were going to get through it. And that message was from every executive. That yes, so that was, and we made time for every employee to hear that message. One of our key turning points was when destinations started opening up, that we started seeing the minute that destination opened up, whether it was for, and most of it was like local travel, like local in Europe, local in the States, we started seeing that there were certain tours that were attractive to our customers. They were interested in the private tours. They were interested in social distancing. Anything outside became really, so we started focusing on what our customers are telling us, and be prepared in our door and sending the message, we're open. And then we also did a sweep of all existing future bookings to make sure those suppliers still were open prior to the customer actually taking the tour, because as you know, it still is fluid, that destination's open, nope, that destination's closed to these borders, requires now a vaccination card. So we had to make sure that our customers were being taken care of, and really hand-holding with the suppliers as what they needed, because they depended on us too. Our vendors depend on us. And then making sure that the customer had a good experience, because many of them, they hadn't been out in a year and a half. You
tend to think of it as customer books these activities. Yes, obviously you have to make sure that you can deliver on those activities, but then you also think about the other side of that, which are the people, like you say, the vendors that are fluidly having to adapt and make changes, and then throw in the middle piece, which is what are the rules and regs of visiting that environment or whatever. Is international travel starting to come back?
Yes. Europe has opened up, even though they have some amber and zones are still allowing travel. We're seeing a lot of travel going from the United States to Europe, and vice versa.
You navigated so much, given the nature of your vertical, given the position the organization was in prior to the pandemic. This is a master's course on leadership. For those of our manager fellow members of yours that have had a similar journey or are still in the thick of it, from a lead your people point of view, can you give us a couple of things you picked up?
Yes, so I learned things that I never thought I was capable of as well. And in addition to the pandemic, our global phone system went into place. So if I call it feet on the street, you want the management team when you're introducing a new phone system, yet alone a new phone system around the world, and your project manager is in London and your support team is in Sydney, and you're trying to open you're trying to launch a new phone system. And I learned that we could do it virtually. I learned that there was a lot of questions you have to ask, but the team set up Slack from the team lead level to the manager. And we had kind of a 24-hour support team going so we could be available anytime for any questions. And with telephony and Sydney coming in and out. So that was a key learning for me, that everything that I thought that I needed to be there, I needed to see that agent answer the phone. It worked. We did, and it was probably one of the best integrations I've ever gone through.
Okay, so now that begs the question: are you going to go back to the old model? At what point do you go, "Oh no, that was temporary. I need to be there," or have you got a new transition plan?
I think we will go back to some of the old model, because I think there is value, especially if it's an international destination, to be there face to face, not necessarily being I need to make sure that phone works, because that's important, but just making sure that you have that connection.
Sure.
So I would do it for connection purposes, not saying that the phones won't turn on if I'm not there, because I learned that they can.
Yeah, I think I'm hearing that pretty consistently through the membership. I think everybody's been through a similar journey in that I don't need the face-to-face, but I enjoy it. And there's a time and a place when it cannot be replaced, but it doesn't have to be the standard. Nothing can replace it.
That's
So
exactly right.
I think that's a pretty consistent message. So wrap it all up for here. You talked about the type of support. You're talking about multiple languages. You're talking about a universal telephony system that can support in multiple countries. Forget time zones and everything else, and doing all this virtually. Any other lessons learned as you kind of summarize all of this?
Yep, I virtually opened up 2 offices, one in the Philippines and one in Egypt during the pandemic, and my team was very much involved. And I think at first they're like, "How are we going to do this? We're in the U.S. and we need to be there." And so we learned that same thing on communication, and I think we became stronger as a team, because again, over communicating, over shared, there's more project plans going on, more of those types of discussions to make sure that you're staying aligned. And then we also are rethinking what our life looks like when the offices reopen. So we're in phase 2 in the Las Vegas office and the Oxford office. We've got a mixture in our Philippines, and then Cairo is actually in office. So when everybody comes back to the office, will it be a full 5-day work week? We're thinking not. We're thinking maybe 2 to 3 days a week. Just to have that face-to-face, but it's just, and never would I think that would be an option that I would be in support of, because we're customer service, we need to be together. And we found out that we can be together and we can make the difference and we can keep it going. But if this is what makes employees happy, and this is the type of, work-life balance, why not offer it? We've proven we can do it now.
Any other thoughts about the vision of the next 6 to 12 months as things start to evolve?
I think we're going to be incredibly busy in the travel industry, and that's going to roll over to other verticals. I think there's such a pent-up desire, even if it's more like staycations or a short drive vacation. And I think I'm seeing it more and more. And I'm seeing, and now I'm seeing international travel return, which is great. It's in the very infant stages, but I think it will roll over. And I think my advice is, embrace the new, what post-pandemic is, because I think our learnings are not done.
You're a leader and an advocate for the industry, certainly for the travel industry. We appreciate you taking time with us today. Thanks for sharing some of your experiences with us.
Well, thank you for having me today, and thank you for the interview. I really appreciate it, David.
Oh, our pleasure. We loved it.